Storytime part 2. I almost got arrested after sneaking into an abandoned hospital.
Storytime, my boyfriend cheated on me with my best friend.
Storytime on how my brother and I got caught, doing the dirty. And also, we are married now.
So this really cute guy gave me his number at Target, and I'm really excited. I'm gonna call him right now.
As soon as we realized the cops showed up, we tried to make it to the center of the building. 2 of my friends and I were somehow able to make it across the entire hospital and find a back entrance where we were able to hide out for a little bit. We started to work our way around the building to try to get to our car in the front, but as we did that, a cop started walking by, so we had to hide and duck in the grass and trees. We had to get across the street and go through another patch of dirt in order to get back to my car. But the thing is, 2 of my other friends were still inside, with the intoxicated boys. They ended up falling through a hole in the floor and falling down on top of each other in a pile of broken glass and parts of the building. This was like the bottom basement. Somehow they were still able to make it out of there by using the stairs that were completely messed up. By the time that they had gotten out, the cops had went to another part of the broken down town. So as we were approaching the car, they were running out of the building. We all hop into the car and catch up on what happened. The 2 girls from inside the building had really bad glass injuries, so we immediately went to the gas station to get first aid. Follow me on my Instagram link below and DM me if you have a story.
Storytime, my boyfriend cheated on me with my best friend. So my boyfriend and I have been dating for 2 years, but we were on and off all the time. It was a super toxic relationship. Like, he would try to get with other girls and I would try to get with other guys to make him jealous, blah, blah, blah. Well, a week before Christmas, him and I broke up again. And I had my best friend sleep over that whole week because her parents were in Ireland. And my boyfriend lived right down the street from me. Like, it was probably a 2-minute walk to his house. Well, for the first 3 nights, my best friend would go on a jog every night and she would be gone for like 2 hours. I would literally have to go unlock the door at 1 in the morning for her to get back in my house. Well, I think the 3rd night that she slept over, she came back in different clothes. And I realized that the sweatshirt she was wearing was my boyfriend's favorite sweatshirt. But I didn't really think anything of it because she never really showed interest in my boyfriend. But clearly I was oblivious. Anyways. So that same night, I wake up in the middle of the night and she's on the phone with someone. And it sounded exactly like my boyfriend. So I asked her who it was, but she couldn't give me an answer, like for part 2. Part 2 of how my boyfriend cheated on me with my best friend. So she told me not to worry about it and I was like, alright, whatever. So the next day my boyfriend shows up at my house asking to get back together. Not a surprise, by the way. And of course I said, okay, we can be back together, blah, blah, blah. So that night while I'm in my room, my best friend's on the phone and she has her AirPods in so I couldn't hear who it was. And she was like, okay, I'll be there in 5 minutes. And when I asked her where she was going, she wouldn't tell me. Well, she left her phone at my house. And because she usually tells me everything, I thought that something sus was going on. So I went through her phone. And I see that she's been texting this guy Jay a lot. And as I'm going through their conversation, there's one text that says, I don't care if she finds out. Just sneak over to my house while you're there. So I check the phone numbers and obviously it's my boyfriend. And her parents are really strict, like she was only supposed to be at my house that week, nowhere else. So I may have made up some stories that she had drugs in her bag and that she was forcing me to do drugs with her. So her parents came home early from their trip. They sent her to military school and I broke up with my boyfriend.
Storytime on how my brother and I got caught, doing the dirty. And also, we are married now. So before we start, I just wanted to say, we don't have the same dad, we just have the same mom. And we honestly don't see anything wrong about it. But let's start. So like I said, he's only my half brother, and we were really, really close all the time. He's my older brother, and he was always very protective. We didn't really fall in love until 3 years ago. And also, we are from Europe. So the day we got caught, doing the dirty, we were home alone. And like I said, we were always close. So that day we were just hanging out, watching a movie on the couch, and he started to play around, flicking my ear, and then he pulled my hair, and we just started playing around. And I accidentally tripped, and my nose was bleeding. He was really scared. So he said, let's go take care of that before our parents get home. Come back for part 2. Okay, so this is part 2 on how my brother and I got caught, doing the dirty. So like I said, he said, let's go take care of that before our parents get home because he was really, really scared. So we went up to the bathroom and, he was taking care of me. And all of a sudden, he kisses me. And yes, I kissed him back because I always had a little crush on him, but I didn't think it would get to that point. So we started kissing and then it started getting really hot. And yes, we did it like twice. But the second time my parents got home, we didn't hear them, but they did hear us. And my mom walked in and saw me butt naked on top of my brother. Long story short, He got sent away with his dad. Our parents were so upset and they couldn't even look at me. We got back in touch and we confessed our love for each other. We got married about a year and a half ago. We moved to the United States to be away from our family. We live in Florida, ready to start our own family.
Night at like 2 a.m. I woke up to my chair falling in my room, and I was really confused because everyone was sleeping and no one was in my room. Long story short, I ended up falling asleep again, but then I got sleep paralysis. My eyes were stuck open. I could not move, but I was fully aware of what was happening, which was really weird. And then I remember hearing this like really heavy voice saying, "Rebuke me now, you really can't. Like, I'm here, you can't tell me to go away anymore." I couldn't move, so my eyes were literally just staring at the wall, and then I remember seeing a shadow of a little kid playing with a board. But then randomly I just woke up again. By this point, it's like 3:45 a.m. I remember that because I was really freaking scared. And I got up to go tell my parents. This is the best part. So as I was walking into my parents' room to go tell them what happened, I remember I started feeling dizzy. Next thing I know, I wake up in an ambulance with doctors asking me if I'm okay because I fainted. Like, what the, this is so sus. Like, what the? A couple years ago, I went to a party with my brother. So my brother and I walk into the house where the party is, then the party host comes up to us and he's like, "Hey guys, go pick a cup." And so we go pick a cup. There was like a pink cup, a red cup, a gold cup. I didn't think much of it, so I just grabbed the pink cup. I didn't really know that many people at the party, so I just got my pink cup, got some water, went to go sit down in the living room. It was alone, it was dark. I was like, this is perfect. I love being alone. Actually, no, I don't. I just don't have friends, but it's okay. So as I'm just like sitting down in the darkness alone, this random guy just comes and sits really close to me. So then the guy randomly just like taps me on the shoulder. He's like, "Look at my pants." And I was like, "Oh, nice jeans, whatever." And he's like, no, look. And so I look closely and you know, his pickle down there is like sticking up. Like, oh my God. I was like, dude, no, like, no. And he's like, "But you got the pink cup." And I was like, yeah. He's like, "The pink cup means you're down to smash whenever." Like, what? You said what?
Storytime on how I dated a guy that sexually assaulted me every single night and also turned out to be a pedophile. So, you know, I met this guy. He was 18 at the time and I was 16, and we met in an online chatting game. He said he was from a specific city right next to mine, and I was shook. We ended up talking on Snap and Kik every single day, and we would exchange very personal pictures. Like 2 weeks later, I invited him to a party at my sister's house. We were flirting a lot, we were holding hands, and yes, we ended up kissing. We also ended up doing the dirty, which was my first time, on a mattress in my sister's living room while her best friend was sleeping on the couch. So after that, we were together on and off for about 2 months. During those 2 months, he was living in a place where, you know, troubled young people would live. I asked him why. He said because a few underage girls accused him of sexually assaulting them, having underage sex, and for nudes. But he said that they told him they were 15, and he trusted them. Come back for part two. So, you know, my family and I trusted him. Then he started getting super toxic. He'd tell me not to do certain things. He'd tell me not to wear certain things because I wasn't pretty enough and that it wouldn't suit me. He ended up moving from that place and stayed with his uncle. But he had a fight with him, and he said that he couldn't go to his mom's house because his mom loved his younger brother and her boyfriend more than him. So he ended up moving in with us. I lived with my mom and she was fine with it. He lived with us for a month, and all he did was play computer games, talking to other girls and sending them nudes. And they were underage girls. During the time he lived with us, he sexually assaulted me multiple times. And I didn't tell anyone because I was too scared he'd leave me. He even sexually assaulted me once, right in front of my best friend. And she never noticed or looked at it as sexually assault. Because honestly, we were pretty young. Fast forward, one day I noticed he was texting a girl, and I questioned him about it. And turns out, come back for part 3. Part 3. So it turns out the day before, he spent the whole day with her. And apparently he tried to kiss her and she said no. And guys, she was 14. So I decided to contact her. And she didn't believe me. So we ended up meeting her outside her school, and we showed her proof of me and him dating. And that bastard told her that he was staying with his cousin and niece while he was living at my house. Keep in mind, we did everything for this man. We paid for everything, food and everything. Well, I ended up breaking up with him. I kept contact with this other girl, and we also helped 2 or 3 other girls not fall into his trap. I went to the police for sexual assault, and they said it wasn't sexual assault because we were dating. So the other girl went, and only a year later after that, he ended up going to jail.
Storytime, my boyfriend caught me cheating on him with his older brother. A little background information. I was a sophomore in high school and him and I had been dating for about 3 months. And every day after school I would go over to his house. Sometimes he would be late coming home though because he would have soccer practice. But I would go to his house anyways because I was friends with his sister, who was also in the same grade as me. Well, his older brother was a senior in high school. Well, the one day I went over his house and his sister wasn't home. She was tutoring at school or something. And neither were his parents. So I texted my boyfriend saying that I was just gonna go home, and he said, no, stay, I'll be there in like 30 minutes. While I was sitting on the couch, his brother comes downstairs. So he comes and sits on the couch next to me and puts on a movie. And he could have sat anywhere because they had a big ass couch, but he sat right next to me. So we start talking, and a little bit into the movie, he gets closer to me, and one thing led to another, and then we were in his room. And literally 2 minutes later, we heard the front door open. Like for part 2.